name is Arius, and I'm stalking people. Yup, that's right. Today, I'm really excited because I heard this dude's only been around for about a year, but in that short amount of time, he's already become one of the top 100, finishing number 12 this season. You know he's got all kinds of great perspective. Stay quiet while I disable this security camera and let's listen in on what he's got to say. But first, shout out of the week goes out to T-Xerox T. Thank you for supporting the channel, my friend. It's an honor to keep making content for you and the rest of the community. Stay rad, because now you too have one more subscriber. Microphone check.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is that Terry?
Yeah, it's just me.
How you doing, bud?
I'm good. How you doing?
Man, I'm off work. Work is a pain in the butt, bro.
Always is.
You have been a pretty popular vote as of lately, sir.
Yeah, well, it's I guess I've been trying to share everything I know around the community and helping people how I can. Sometimes give bad advice, but you know, this yeah, that's just what I do. Well, if it doesn't work, no refunds. I'm not to blame. But yeah, fortunately, I think most of the stuff I speak around the community and tell people are stuff that, well, I test it and that I think is like, this is what I think, this is what it feels like, this is what the numbers say. So, you know, if anything, it's what I believe. Maybe what I believe, maybe what I found out was wrong, but it's at least my kind of a little bit of sincere effort to help people.
And you know what, man, that's appreciated, because there's a lot of things that people aren't willing to do, like come up with their own builds or test a certain thing. And people like you, man, you make it, you know, that information available. And you know, we do appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, and it's a different experience for everyone. Like my own experience was, I don't know really what I like. There's so many different things to choose from, so many perks, so many buttons to press, so many different gear choices, what to choose. It's like, you really don't know what to do. And yes, of course, it's probably best if you figure out yourself and understand how things work, but that's a lot of work. It's a game, right? Not everyone has the time to do it. And crunching numbers, like, you know, something is I did that enough in school. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, that's perfectly fine, you know. If something is strong, it's always going to be strong whether or not you know about it. So always helpful to have someone to go to. Like, I don't know what to choose between these two enchantments or these two pieces of gear. To have that answer and not have to crunch the numbers yourself is a blessing sometimes.
Yeah, dude. So how did you discover Elder Scrolls Blades?
I honestly think I was scrolling through App Store one of these days. So I think I was actually playing Skyrim and I was looking, again, playing Skyrim. The game has been out a long time and I played it over and over again. I think
all you Skyrim people, bro.
Yeah, Skyrim people. And I think I was like looking at, is there anything like mobile version of Skyrim or like some sort of maps or quest, Intel, like wiki kind of thing that tells me what I missed. And I think that's how I came across Blades. So I figured, I looked at it and figured, this is interesting. I'm gonna try it out because Elder Scrolls made by Bethesda. So
yeah,
I heard it, try it out, and then I downloaded it. Got to like level 18. Got killed by a troll. Couldn't get past them. Used all my scores and potions. Like, screw this. This game is too much for me. Like, this is nothing like Skyrim at all. And I put it down for a while until I one day couldn't control myself. Got it back into it, and then finally figured out that I can play the game like I play Skyrim. And April last year at this point. So now it's almost a year. I'm still playing this game. Finally can kill trolls. So that's an improvement.
Cool, man. Since discovering Elder Scrolls Blades, what do you like the most about it, and what do you like the least about it?
I would say that I guess the one thing that differentiates it from me as a Skyrim player is that, well, we have a player versus player thing that, you can fight other people rather than bots in Skyrim, where unless you really challenge yourself, the game could be quite easy once you level up, do some certain in-game mechanics in Skyrim. So being able to play other people around the world on a fair basis where everyone's the same on an equal basis, that's actually quite interesting, quite nice to have, like a combat focused game.
Yeah.
One really big thing that I was kind of annoyed about is that as a Skyrim player, and probably many other people have the same sentiment where they came from the main games, but they come to Blades, and the single player experience kind of dries out after a while, and it's a bit too repetitive. And first of all, it's not even an open world, open map game. And
got you there, sucker,
my first quest, I was like, it was like you. I don't know if you remember, you had to cut open some vines and then find the city and like fight some bandits. Yep. I was like, wait, there's this like 2 foot tall ledge. I can't climb over it. This game sucks. that was my first impression. So at that point, I was like, okay, this is one of those games where there's no open world exploration. I shouldn't be expecting that. So that was something that's like, okay, it's one of those, isn't it? It's a mobile game. There's only so much they can do, I guess, and fitting all those content into that's this big of an app and being free. It's a bit of a letdown, but hey, what was I expecting?
I mean, that's a good point, though, because, and it's funny, a lot of the Skyrim players came to Blades, but the amount of ESO players that play Blades is like tiny compared to the amount of Skyrim players that play Blades.
Maybe that's because ESO is pretty well made and pretty balanced, and developers actually update things, as I've heard, so maybe they don't need to. It's like, this is so much worse than ESO.
People are like, why the hell would I play Blades? God, this thing sucks.
Yeah, for us, it's like Skyrim. We don't have PvP. We can't play against other players, so Blades sucks, but we don't have options. Here we go. Maybe that's
And I wondered, like a lot of Skyrim players, if they've ever played ESO and, the PvP in there, and what would that be like for a Skyrim player,
Me personally, I haven't, and that's probably what keeps me on Blades. But I guess also the other fact is this is mobile. I can just play whenever I am. I know people who play when they're like work breaks and driving and anywhere. It's like awful in arena. Like that makes connection completely just go out the window. But I guess the ability to do that is it's a mobile game after all. So mobile games killing time, and you know how that goes.
It is nice to have that thing in your pocket where you can play whatever character you want. I mean, speaking of that, what's your favorite? I mean, you've seen that we were kind of drawing a line between like Magicka fighters and then stamina fighters and then the versatile, like the kind of hybrid, right? Like what type of a fighter are you?
That's the funny thing. I think I have 2 characters, and both are pretty much hybrid and balanced. And my goal and what I've been doing is that I collect gear and make the skill tree where I'm able to switch between different builds at will. Where I can go stamina focus, go Magicka focus, or go balance with both spells and abilities. And that's actually interesting for a game where we all have issues where we've had so many issues. Some of the fundamental things are super balanced in the game where many different builds, gear, and secondary choices are viable. You have people using all 3 weapon types in arena instead of just one meta super overpowered weapon type. You have people using all kinds of elements or non-elemental enchantments. You have people going Magicka heavy, going stamina heavy, and you have grand champions there's never one type of build for the grand champions. You have a very healthy mix of different styles and different focus and stamina and Magicka balance on the leaderboard history of grand champions. So I think that's really interesting that a game that it seems like has so many broken things, but maybe some serious thought went into in the initial design of the game where the different builds and different types of characters you can make are incredibly balanced, and there's so many different viable ways that gives arena really interesting variety.
And it's funny that you say that because you're absolutely right. Like for example, Elder Scrolls Online, the PvP aspect of it. People have been saying that PvP has been broken since 2016, or even 2015. And they've been trying to fix that, and they haven't been able to. They haven't been able to come to balance. Sometimes they do. They get to the point where it's perfectly balanced, but then they introduce something new, and then all of a sudden it's broken again. Maybe that's kind of a blessing in disguise that Blades doesn't get too many updates because it's been able to stay balanced. I don't know, man.
Yeah, some people bring up very interesting points where we sometimes want some quality of life changes added to the game. Like we all want more custom loadouts to be added to the game. We want this and that feature to be added to the game. We want the dogs to be opened up. We want the new quests to be added. But We also forget that with with the developer team, with any game or with any application in general, when you add these new features, it's also susceptible to new bugs. So it's easy to take for granted, oh, we want this new feature, but really what we want is this new feature smoothly implemented with no bugs, doesn't break the rest of the game. And that might not be so easy to do, and especially if we have been gotten the love from the developers for a long time now. It's like there's no guarantee that they added cool new feature without breaking the rest of the game.
Right.
So that's a hard dilemma we're stuck with. And what if they added a game-breaking feature and then completely abandoned this? These are things that kind of scares me as a player.
I mean, how do you feel about this state of the game now?
Well, the current state of the game, honestly, the people, I can't speak too much with the people players that really focus and love single player, because generally they are not interacting as much with the rest of the community. Of course, there are a few prominent figures, but not everyone. Many people may just be like Skyrim or main games where they play their own games and then talk on the forums, but not actively participating in community discussions. But for the arena players, there are quite a few what I would call dinosaur players that really that's sticking around. Well, I think that's what the generic community term that I didn't even come up with that. Just use that word. Yeah, they've been sticking around since the beginning of time, and it's broken. It's like many things as issues, but in general, like the arena, when it works, it works. And when it goes good, it goes great. When lag happens, when bugs happen, when crashes happen, it breaks the game. But most of the time, for the majority of the people, it's enjoyable game. Like we get a majority of smooth and good games where both players in arena, where both players can play to their best. But sometimes we get bad games. Sometimes we match or have cross-continental matches where either party or both are having bad connections. Sometimes circumstances happen, but I think the majority of the time, for a majority of people, it's quite enjoyable. There are, of course, people in far-off places in the world where they have internet issues or just no servers around them, whatever. These are all speculation from me, and I guess speculations from the community, where some people may just always have bad games, but for the majority of us, it's quite enjoyable game most of the time. Well, specifically the arena experience also, because single player is only so much to do. You can, of course, grind repeatable jobs and grind the abyss, play the same thing again and again, but it's up to each person. So
right. I mean, for sure, man. I can't spend more than 5 minutes in PvE. I'll start falling asleep, and
but I guess some players, if they like it, it's up to them. It's their choice, I guess. Because I guess in the end, you can argue that the Elder Scrolls main games, after you get done with like all the quests, the dungeons are more or less the same. You can kind of expect what's going on. Like, it's repetitive, but slightly less just completely 100% repetitive and more variety than Blades. But I guess you can argue that if some people find it fun and find it enjoyable, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it, especially in this game where as you level up, the single player enemies really get buffed up. So it may go from a boring grinding experience to OMG, I cannot kill this one single enemy. What do I do? And it becomes a challenging puzzle game. So at that point, it may become interesting again for the single player experience, where if you have issues killing this enemy, then maybe have a goal, maybe have a puzzle to solve. How do I take him down? And that by itself, maybe the fun comes with it. But that comes really late as you level up, and so it's still not ideal. It's really us players trying to find the fun out of some sort of repetitive, boring, and broken stuff. So, these are places, there's definitely room for improvement, but, there's a good basis for it. There's a good balance in the game, and the generic system and the general system and concept of it, I'm pretty sure we all like. If you can get some love from the developers, that I really can see this game going on and going big.
Absolutely, man. Hands down. It's one of those things where if you set your expectations the right way, if a lot of us have said it before, and in a lot of the interviews that I've done, in the last one, Zenyatta, said, these bugs happen all the time. But if you know, what to expect and you know how to kind of work around it, like the dinosaurs you mentioned, they've been here a while and they're still playing this game because they know what to expect. Like, oh, if you can't crit right now because I'm on an Android, well, that's probably because of the crit bug. I need to restart, stuff like that. We just know these things.
Yeah, that's the thing. So of course, I'm no gaming developer, so I might be just spewing nonsense here. But for me, my thinking is that for a game to be successful, you have to have a hook to retain the new players. You can't have 1 million people try the game and then only 1,000 stay, and then this 1,000 people after 100 hours, thousands of hours of game time realize, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. I can totally get into this. That's not going to help, especially even if it doesn't even help with the community reputation because you have 1,000 people that goes, this game is great after you play 100 hours, and then the rest of the million going, this game is awful, or I can never even get to 100 hours. So that's not helpful for the development of the game. So I think really that's what's lacking for Blade sometimes is like the initial hook of it that can retain new players. If we can get a healthy number of new players to stay, then I think that's all the game needs to get going strong. And there's many things that's stopping that from happening. Like some of it is that the game is very, very different from Elder Scrolls main game. So if me as a Skyrim scrub come to here and then get killed by trolls on the first level or after level 15, because in Skyrim I never had the idea of resistance, weaknesses, like timing blocks. I just go stealth sniper with a bow, or just go in and whack-a-mole, just keep hitting them again and again until they die. Like that's not what happens in Blade. So I come in with that mindset. I'm going to die. I'm going to get frustrated. I'm going to rage quit. That's for the PvE players. For the arena new players, we all know about the matchmaking system, which is kind of it's a kind of a awful feedback loop where there's not enough players. So you have level 5 people coming arena. The first match is against someone in dragon gear, and then they're like, "This is awful. If this is what PvP is like, I'm gone." Yeah, for them it's like, I can't win the game. I'm gone, and that takes away from the player base. So it allows less and less of these balanced matches. If there's no level 5s matching, then a new level 5 player cannot match someone on their own level, and there's no balanced matches. So really, a lot of new players they complain on Reddit regarding imbalancing the matchmaking. The cause behind that, I think, is that there's not big enough of a player base. If you have 1 million strong player base, then you can kind of guarantee that someone around your level will be matching at the same time as you. But when we don't have that, if there's no level 10 person that's matching you at level 10, that's trying to get a game in arena at the same time as you are, then you're kind of stuck with two choices. There's a level 50 guy that's also searching for matches right now. In your trophy range, do you pair with him? If not, do you wait 20 minutes to try to get a match? And I think what Blade's server does is it matches you with whoever's playing. If it can find a balanced match and just get a game instead of have you wait. But that is devastating for new players who wants to scrub their stuff in arena and they come and just face someone level 50. This is awful. I can't win at all. Matchmaking is broken. I'm gone. Arena player gone. So that's the thing. These are some of the more basic things that kind of harms the game's retainment of new players. And I do think some things can be done with the game, like with PvE, for example. Some more helpful tutorial or very obvious tips, signs, information that tells you, hey, you really should pay attention to the resistance. It's hard if you don't do it, or just some sort of very obvious, even a what is this function that basically shows you what some of the information of the game, there's a help section that I didn't read it until about a month or two earlier. I played the game for 8 months or so, and then the first time I read the help section was 2 months ago. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff here, so much information here. It's oh, so that's how that works. There's so many questions I had in both single and multiplayer, and it would just answer there. It's amazing how there's so much information in the game, but the game does not do a really good job of pointing you to it and explaining what some things mean. So that can somehow be improved. Maybe people will have less of a confusion and questions regarding how things work and why this troll keeps killing me. I do think that these are issues that can be fixed, if not right now, but it's definitely not, we're doomed. There's no fix for this, but that gets me hopeful.
You said you started playing about a year ago, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you weren't around at the beginning when, imagine trying to fight fight a creature, and right now it tells you like what they're weak against, right? They have the little icons on top.
Yeah.
Those icons weren't there before. Now, imagine being a new player and then not knowing about all that stuff. And I think it took them about 6 months to a year before they finally put that on the monsters,
Geez, yeah, gosh, that's like, that, I feel like if we had a large player base at launch, like 90% of those were gone after the trolls killed them, like over and over again. What are you supposed to do? There's like some sort of guide would definitely be helpful, like an in-game wiki or something that's like shows you some of the things that you don't know. Like, do we have veterans that might still not know the resistance and weaknesses of enemies, just because like even now it only displays the damage types that they're most weak to, but it doesn't display the resistance or the elemental types that they're not resistant to. Like I think many people know this, that in the Abyss you either have, or in general you have skeletons that display a shock weakness, but using ice and frost using frost attacks are like just as effective, and using ice spikes on the stun just fine. So there's these things that definitely help a PvE player stand their ground, but we really want some indicators telling us, okay, where do we look? What should we be doing? Like, what should we try? Like, even if just a tip somewhere, like during the tutorial or loading screen or anything, it's like I'll have some guy in the town like Mike the Liar that's always spewing information. It's like,
it'd be nice.
If it's the game clearly tells you, hey, enemies have different types of resistance and weaknesses, or like more than the ones they display. Try it out. Like, it will really help you kill them. Something like it would really help. But
and even with all that stuff, I mean, I know that you kind of lean to have a tendency to enjoy the arena more, but outside of that, what motivates you to continue playing this game?
The community, like, as broken as the game is, I think that kind of bonded us poor abused victims of Blaze players together. So we kind of have a support group right now where we can every day in the arena we complain about bug, complain about crash, and the good thing is everyone else is going through the same thing. So a lot of people are supportive about it. Crashing are the worst. Tell me something bug that's awful. Oh, that dragon is so tough. I can't kill it. It's the ability to stick with the community and share information with each other and find support and help with it. It's like, hey, I can't kill a dragon. What the hell? Well, we asking the Discord server, and there's people who've done it can tell you this is what you should use, this is what you should look out for, this is what they have, this is what you should do. So these are the things that kind of keep you going. Like, whatever, it's kind of like I guess programming. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the idea is that no matter what issue you come up with, or no matter what issue you face, someone has seen the same issue before, and they probably someone probably has a solution for it. So the ability to just go to a community and ask about it, and if there is no solution, at least find support in some other people that go, oh yeah, I always have that, don't know what it is. That's helpful. That keeps you going, to know that other people are suffering the same as you do.
So if you could go back in time a year ago and give your noob self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Well, is this like, do you have a focus on this? Is it being like Blaze in general? Is it being like arena?
Just anything, dude. Like, knowing what you know now, and here's your noob self fighting that troll, and you want to tell yourself something to give yourself a leg up. What would you tell yourself?
Okay, I would tell myself, read everything you can. Try to find information in the game. There's a help section. Read that. Pay attention to the loading screen tip. There's so much hidden information in this game that'll help you, but it does an awful job telling you where to look for the information. So really try looking for it and read the help section. And not just the help section, read also the skill tree, read all the perk descriptions, skill and ability description. It's actually really interesting how, if you read up some of the descriptions, and even not just the help section, but like the perks and scars in the skill tree, you can say, oh, it does some it does blah blah blah, and then you go to test. Wow, it actually does what it does. Like, sometimes it's not very clear on what it means, and that's when you need to test this. But it really is helpful for you to just read it through once and go like, oh, so that's how it works. Otherwise, there's no way I can know how anything works.
Oh, for sure, man. And I think that's a big deal. It does discourage a lot of people from continuing, and they're just off to the next best game. Whatever.